Hey, it's Richard Miller with Mission Control Studios, and today we're live in the studio with Joe Pendergast from Canyon Diablo Distillery in Flagstaff.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
And so I met you through our mutual friend, Steph, who had been telling me about you guys for quite some time, and she says, hey, I've got these friends that have this distillery in Flagstaff. I'm like, oh, cool. And then when I met you, and actually I'd seen your product at a local restaurant, I'm like, hey, I think that's my friends that have the distillery.
Yeah.
And so I saw the product and met you guys, and I tasted the, some of your gin and your whiskey. I'm like, hey, you got to come in the studio and we got to talk about what you guys are up to because it's pretty darn amazing.
So, well, I appreciate it. This is amazing to be here doing a studio shoot, and nothing that Canyon Diablo has done before. So thank you very much, Richard.
Absolutely. And, well, tell me about how you got into this business and the history of the distillery.
So, how I got into this business was a bit through happenstance. A friend of a friend my friend knew the original distiller in the state of Arizona. Dana Kanzler is his name. He actually launched the first distillery in the history of the state of Arizona, at least a legal distillery per se.
Got it.
And back in 2004, he was the brewer for Mogollon Brewing Company, and him and his business partner at the time wanted to start a distillery. So he actually wrote a letter to the Department of Liquor and petitioning for a distillery. And the response from the Department of Liquor was quite comical. The president of the Department of Liquor called him and told him there is no effing way we're ever going to have a distillery in the state of Arizona. So,
really? That's interesting. Why?
And,
well, I'll let you tell the story when it happened.
Why? I don't know why. But that was his response. And here we are 14 years later, and there's going to be 25 distilleries in the state of Arizona here shortly. So at the time, they had to petition their senators and local representatives to try and get the laws passed, and it did. It passed a few years later, and they were the first ones ever to open a distillery in the state. So
now I know your partner's got some pretty interesting recipes too.
Absolutely.
I tasted this amazing mesquite whiskey that I want to hear about that. I kind of snuck a taste when we went to the distillery, but tell me about those recipes and just we'll go into what you've already distilled, but tell me about the mesquite and the barrel-aged gin.
So the mesquite whiskey was, we think, the first ever whiskey smoked with mesquite in the history of the world, as far as we know. There are Scotch is made by smoking peat.
Peat, right?
And then are using peat to smoke the malt, I should say. Pardon me. And his process was to use mesquite to smoke the malt. Okay?
Interesting. Okay.
And so when he released the whiskey back in 2010, it was quickly snatched up and
I didn't even
never,
get it.
Never to be heard of again.
My feelings are hurt a little bit. Yeah.
6 barrels of it went pretty quick. And,
right.
And it became somewhat legendary, to say the least. From that, kind of a small legend was born, and it was the first ever whiskey made legally in the state of Arizona. So unfortunately, those things kind of went by the wayside, and we decided to start over. He said, I absolutely want to make that whiskey again. And we were kicking around names for our distillery, and we wanted to have mostly known for our whiskeys eventually. That's what we really want to focus on.
Sure.
And we felt that the kind of the Wild West branding was going to tie in well with these whiskeys. So
it's also Arizona, which naturally, I mean, when people come, it's part of the whole Arizona tourist attraction. But anyways.
And so, in the city of Flagstaff, very few people have ever heard of the town of Canyon Diablo because it was a Wild West town that's kind of sprouted up in the 1880s, to be precise, 1880, when the railroad was coming through northern Arizona. It had to stop right on the edge of Diablo Canyon, which is about 20 miles east of Flagstaff. The reason being the bridge that was built for the canyon was built a few feet too short. And thus the bridge had a little bit of a problem. Had to be sent back east to be finished and to make the fix essentially. And then so 2 years later, when the bridge came back, the town slowly disappeared. But for those 2 years, a hell on wheels town per se popped up right at the end of the railroad and right at the edge of this canyon, and the town was known as Canyon Diablo.
Got it. Okay.
Some of the stories from this town are just incredible. The first sheriff was signed in at 10 a.m. and then buried at 3 p.m.
That's great, man.
Then they had a succession.
Well, it's not great for him, but it's a
well,
great
it wasn't
story.
good for him, but
It's a
very,
great
very
story.
brave man, that's for
Right,
sure,
right.
courageous. And somehow someone else signed up, and he only lasted a few weeks. But apparently, they went through 5 or 6 sheriffs in the first year.
Wow.
So the main street was aptly named Hell Street for that reason. So
Okay.
at least in the
Right.
folklore that we've researched. So. So just the one story that really stuck out to us the most was a story about a gentleman who was dug up for his last shot of whiskey.
That's
And
great.
when
man.
you
Yeah.
when you hear something like that, you're like, that's baloney.
I think
Who
I'm gonna put that
believes
in my will.
Yeah,
I think I'm
exactly.
gonna put that in my
I'm
will.
like, I'm gonna do that too. So don't bury me with my whiskey. Just
Right.
give me
Just
that
give it
last
to
shot.
me. Yeah, right.
So-
Exactly.
So I was skeptical, and then we started doing the research, and it turns out there were actually pictures taken of this event, and which absolutely baffled me and blew my mind. And so this, how it started with these 2 cowboys went into a saloon in Winslow, Arizona. It was called the Wigwam Saloon. They went up to the bar, ordered a couple shots of whiskey. They turn around, and there's a huge poker game taking place right near them, and with hundreds of dollars in silver. And
Right.
so they proceeded to rob the poker table and head out. And so they hopped on a train, and at that time, the town in between Winslow and Flagstaff was Canyon Diablo. Apparently, they got off in Canyon Diablo. The sheriff was able to catch up to them because they dropped some silver coins on the way out to the train tracks. So he caught up to them in the town of Canyon Diablo the next day, and a shootout ensued.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the robbers was named John Shaw, and he perished in the gunfight. So he was buried that day. Later that night, the cowboys in Winslow found out about the shootout and found out that John Shaw had been buried. And they, in a drunken stupor at 4 a.m. in the morning, decided that they were going to hop on the train, go dig him up, and give him his last shot of whiskey. Because it turns out they had never drank their shots of whiskey that they had ordered when they walked into the saloon.
That's where the story. Okay, got it.
So they ended up stopping at the mercantile store in Canyon Diablo, waking up the gentleman in charge of the store, and they got some shovels. But he also said, "You know what? I have a camera. Will you take pictures?" And so they took 5 or 6 pictures of the event. And in one of the pictures, it's just so morbid and disturbing because he already has rigor mortis setting in, and they're holding him up, and they're putting the whiskey down his throat.
I saw that picture
So,
in that book that you guys have at the.
yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you can see the bottle of whiskey down at the bottom of the picture, and then they show him being reburied in his cask. And so my thought process was with my business partners, I said, this whiskey's kind of literally being unburied to be re-released into the state of Arizona and the world. And so I think we should name it John Shaw after this amazing event.
That's great.
So we decided to go with that name. And the whiskey's aging nicely, as you had a taste of it the other day. And we should be releasing it here towards the end of 2017. We have,
awesome.
We have a small, very limited release.
Well, I want most of it, so let's just be clear.
Just
so
most of it?
Listen, if you think you're going to get some, you're not. So just, no, anyways.
And so moving on to the barrel-aged
Yeah.
gin, my business partner, he did some vodkas and gins originally, and I wanted to do something different that they hadn't done before. And there's a new genre with gin right now. It's called Old Tom Gin, and it is the process of taking it's a process of taking gin and then putting it into barrels, and it essentially gives it some color and a little bit of the whiskey flavor to it as well. So we took some of our Desert Rain gin and put it into some of our used barrels. Some of the barrels that we'd emptied the mesquite whiskey out of and put it into there. And it's a very unique product. It's sort of like you get a little bit of a whiskey flavor to it, but you also get the botanicals of the gin, and you can just really, it's a sip and spirit, as I would say.
I'm excited about that.
Just kind of something to sit back, relax, throw an ice cube in it, and sip. And but that's something we're working on as well that we think is a little unique.
When will that come out?
That one should be out about the same time. We're hoping to release both by the end of the year. So do a dual release on that and have some fun with it. So
that's great.
And that one we're kicking around a name, going back to the Canyon Diablo of the name Clabberfoot Annie was the name of the woman who owned the best brothel per se in the town of Canyon Diablo. And the stories on her were that she would beat up some of the other brothel madams in the street, and then avoided death because someone slit the throat of the wrong person when they went into her brothel that night. So we're thinking about naming that one Clabberfoot, just
That's
kind of
amazing.
as an ode to the town of Canyon Diablo. So some fun names that we can tie into our real super
that's
handcrafted
great,
stuff.
man. That's really cool. We got that little magazine over there too. It's,
we do. This was from the Arizona Highways, and finding articles and research on the Canyon Diablo is kind of few and far between. There's not much that is written about it, but this was an award-winning drawing through Arizona Highways of the shootout in Canyon Diablo.
Yeah.
You can see that how close they are together, the sheriffs, and then this is the John Shaw laying dead on the street, Hell Street, as it was aptly named. And this just an amazing article. It goes into the details of the whole event that I just kind of explained to you. But the fact that they were so close to each other, only 3 or 4 or 5 feet away from each other, they just both turned corners and kind of ran into each other and then started pulling guns. So amazingly, only one person died. I mean, it must have told them how. It shows you how startled they were of running into each other so close. So
I love all the historical references to. To the products and the distillery. That's great.
I think a piece I didn't mention was that when the railroad was finished in 1882, obviously the town started to die as other people moved away from the town of Canyon Diablo, but that turns out that was right when Flagstaff, Arizona was founded in 1882.
Got it. Okay.
There's stories of Flagstaff of how rough it was right when it was first founded as well. And a lot of that had to do with the folks from Canyon Diablo just kind of moved over 20 miles into Flagstaff and then kind of kept going from there.
That's great. I love that. So when I was up visiting about a week ago, I took some really poor quality video of your distillery. So I think we've got a video ready to go here on the TV. Go ahead and hit play.
There we go.
The first thing here.
So these would be our oak barrels. Whiskey, all whiskeys aged in oak.
Yeah.
Different types of oak.
Right.
As a small distillery, we start out with some smaller barrels, so the aging process takes place a little bit faster.
Sure. I didn't know that.
So
that makes sense,
the bigger distilleries have the 50-gallon barrels, the normal size. These were only 15-gallon barrels, and so we've emptied a few of them. And this one, we had actually just emptied out some of our old Tom Gin out of this one that had been sitting in these ones for 6 months as well.
Got it.
We had just emptied it out, I think, the day before you got there to take a peek at it. So. With these barrels nowadays, you'll see a lot of breweries as well take these old barrels and they put beer into them and make them barrel aged and that kind of fun stuff too. So I think we're going to end up giving a couple of these to our friends at one of the breweries up in Flagstaff as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's great.
Some fun partnership there.
Let's keep going here. See what else we got.
Yeah. Yep. So that if we put our gin in, that's our brew kettle, 600-gallon brew kettle.
Big. That video doesn't do it justice. That thing's big.
We have a 20-barrel brewing system, and essentially it is it's not your traditional brewing system where you could walk into one of the big breweries here in Phoenix. This is essentially a lot of dairy equipment that's been converted into a brewery, but now distilleries. So
that's interesting.
So this old brew kettle, 600 gallons, which makes it a 20-barrel system. By comparison, most of the larger breweries in the Flagstaff, the largest brewing system they have is 20 barrels as well.
Oh wow!
So
you guys are right on par.
We match it up, but it's all dairy equipment, not high-end brewing equipment. So we make it work to make some quality whiskey. That's for sure. So
let's keep going here.
Bunch of vodka. It's nice to see lots of cases going out the door. It pays the bills. So
that's the
prickly pear, the very first flavored vodka ever made in the state of Arizona. Was the prickly pear by my business partner Dana Gansler. So back in I think it was 2007 when he came out with that one. So
this thing here, pause that. I love this thing.
So this whiskey still was made in Spain. We had that imported 2.5 years ago. It is a 1,000-liter alembic still. Great for making whiskey. You get one really nice run on it.
It's beautiful.
And we were very pleased that they did an amazing job. Love the craftsmanship. This particular gentleman in Spain does a lot of work for the wineries as well. But make some amazing stills, and he did a wonderful job for us here with this whiskey still. So we're very, very happy with it. So
keep going here. What else we got? I think that's close to the end. Oh, got your mash.
Yeah, mash tun. You can tell it's just kind of an old dairy tank.
Yeah.
Kind of converted it. This is we do it the hard way. We have to shovel out the mash at the end. Essentially, it's a bunch of grain where all the sugars have been removed. Is kind of how the brewing process takes place.
You know, here's the thing: is when I taste your product, I can tell that you can tell they're quality products. It's just you know over the years you drink enough booze, you can tell when you're tasting something that is a quality product. And everything I've tasted, you guys have made is fantastic, and it's because you're doing it the old school way. You're not. There's no
Definitely part of
fillers.
it.
There's not a bunch of BS involved. Not, putting like tap water in it. Water. I mean, you're doing it the right way, and that's why the products.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously.
Appreciate that. So, and we're doing it the hard way. That's for sure. These mash tuns these days, they just kind of pushes it out the door, and that's the condenser. So, that's where the whiskey comes out. Most folks don't realize when whiskey comes out, it's clear.
Right.
It's just a clear spirit.
Yep. I just found that out like 6 months ago.
Everything that gives it the color is the barrels.
The
same with brandy. Everything that gives it that color is from the barrels. So.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Keep going here. I think that.
Funny story about that little stand.
Yeah.
We built it out of wood, and those are kind of glued on the front. But we had some leftover bricks because we had to build up the bricks to put the still on. Well, I spent a day cutting those bricks in half so I could glue them onto the front of the stand that we built to make the stand match the stand for the still. And about 2 weeks later, I go over to Home Depot with my business partner. We're looking around for some shelving, and lo and behold, they had those same exact bricks already pre-cut in the Home Depot area. And I looked at him, and I'm like, "You son of a bitch! Did you know that these are already pre-cut? Is that why you brought me over here?" And he's like, "No, I didn't know. I swear it. I wasted probably 2.5 days cutting bricks in half just so I could glue them on the front of that thing." So
it goes to show the hand craftsmanship of what you guys are doing over there.
I got another funny story from when we were building that place. We had to cut a drain down the middle.
I saw that.
During that build out, a lot of dirt and whatnot, and I would go over there after my day job and check on it at night. And one night I go in there and open the door, and I hear this little noise. I'm like, "What is that noise?" And I look down into one of our floor drains, and there's a little furry animal, and I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
Yeah. And I look at him like, "It's not a mouse. It's not a rat. That's a mole." So,
really?
Yeah, we had a little mole had come up through the dirt. We were digging it, and it ended up in there. Getting that thing out of there was quite fun. We put some gloves on. It latched onto one of our gloves. Goes absolutely crazy. Put it in a bucket. And out behind our distillery, we have a little waterway, so we just let them go out there.
Right.
But kind of a fun story.
He was hoping that there was booze.
He was probably looking around for some whiskey.
Right.
So we're thinking we'll call one of our whiskeys Holy Moly someday. So.
That's great. So you've got some bottles over here. Let me.
So
let's take a look at what you got here.
We were just talking about the first ever flavored vodka made in the state of Arizona, and aptly so. It was a prickly pear vodka.
Yeah.
Because pretty much the state, besides the Saguaro, but one of the other big cactus here in the state that people don't recognize. Just an amazing product, unique. Essentially, you can make any flavors of vodka, and we wanted to do something a little different, and he did back in the day, and we're staying true to that. Something that's unique and fun. And this one is it's wonderful for making Cosmos.
Yeah.
My wife and I mix it with a little bit of lemonade in the summer, so just an amazing summer. It's great in the summertime and the spring, just for making fun drinks, light drinks that pair well. So this one's really taken off. The artwork on the front was done by a friend of mine, Patrick, who was a body or tattoo artist up in Flagstaff. So the artwork for that was hand done. I really wanted some art that was original. All too often you just see computer graphics and all this stuff, and literally he drew nice picture, and we just kind of shrunk it down and put it on.
It also goes with the grassroots kind of vibe of the branding. It's good.
So that one very very proud of. And then we'll bring over the gin.
Yeah.
Kind of switch them out there.
Yep.
This was the
over there.
The name here is Desert Rain.
Yeah.
This
is
previous
a great gin. I'm not a gin person.
So yeah.
Well, I interrupted you, but this is great gin.
It gets me in trouble. I get to drinking a gin and tonic or two, and next thing I know, my wife's like,
smooth, man.
Like, settle down.
Smooth.
It goes down way too easy. So it's just.
Well, here's the thing: is I'm not a big gin person. I've had some of those British gins, and I'm like, they're really kind of. I don't know, with the proper turpentine a little bit.
Gotcha.
This doesn't have that weird kind of, I don't know what that you would call that.
A little sweeter taste to it.
It's a sweeter, smoother taste
You know,
to
all
it.
gins have to have juniper.
Okay.
That's part of the gin category. And then we add a lot of the cardamom, which is very sweet, botanical, and some orange peel and coriander, kind of really sweeten it out and smooth it out. And so this, when it first was released, it was named Desert Dry Gin.
Okay.
And then when we came up with the name Canyon Diablo, we're thinking high desert, and so we actually had our friend draw some pictures of the national or Monument Valley, I should say, up in northern Arizona.
Okay.
So this Monument Valley is only a couple hours, hour and a half north of where the Canyon Diablo was, up in northern Arizona. So just all kind of ties into the whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And then a few of the botanicals are actually from northern Arizona
that's
as well.
nice.
So
Getting the locally sourced elements.
Exactly. So this one kind of came back to life too, from his original to this one, and the exact same recipe.
It's great, man. It's great.
It's great flavors and really fun. So.
And then you've got your
we
Grand
got
Canyon. I
the
just
whiskey.
tried that
This
for
one
the first time the other
just
day.
came out on the market not too long ago, and this one is it's a bourbon.
Yeah.
And very proud of this one. This one came out really smooth.
Yeah.
We had some help making it, but we kind of did the finished product on it. The piece that I really enjoy is the art as well.
Yeah.
And I want to show this off. A lot of folks don't realize that John Wesley Powell was the first person ever to go down the Grand Canyon, so we want to kind of dedicate this to him. And so we found this out of his memoirs, was the sketch of him going down the Colorado River. And when you look at this, it looks amazing, but when you really look close, the sketch actually includes that he's missing half of his arm. And it makes you think, how on earth would someone want to go down a river with half of an arm? Just truly one of the bravest men I've ever read about or known.
What would you? I mean, what are you going to do?
He had lost his arm in the Civil War years before, and then decided, I'm going to go explore the West. And this was one of his adventures. He went down the Colorado River twice. And actually on the back of the bottle here too is an actual picture of his boat, because the second expedition they went down, they took a camera, and it's just one of those old wooden John boats, and you can see a captain's chair that they literally tied to the top of this boat, and it's just really it really
That's
just
crazy,
is amazing that, and we were allowed to use these pictures for the making of this, and just thought it was a great tribute to the man who discovered, or at least the first written discovery of the Grand Canyon. And it's just really fitting for the whiskey.
I think the next time you and I talk, you and I should do the Arizona Drunk History. You've seen Drunk History. Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
We need to drink your products and do like Arizona Drunk History.
Just start talking about history.
And John Shaw.
I'd love to tell stories about Canyon Diablo. Some of the stuff I've read is just mind blowing.
The next time we get together, we'll do that. This is just an intro to what you guys are up to.
Gotcha.
So tell me, we're coming into the summer right now. So tell me about what you guys, I'm sure you're doing like some tastings and some festivals and things like that. We'll put that back over there.
Yeah, all through the summer we're doing tastings in the bunch of bars in the Flagstaff area. And this year we're not doing as many festivals. We were finding that a lot of times it's more of a party than an actual opportunity to sell stuff, but it gets our name out there a little bit. And we've got a festival lined up at the end of the summer up at the Pines. Up in Flagstaff at the Arizona Snow Bowl. They do a big NAU festival, so we'll be part of that as well. So, and in fact, we were just down here in Phoenix at the Chandler Craft Spirits Festival about a month ago, and that was a really fun experience. So we're looking to get our exposure around the state, but we just want to make sure we're doing it at the right events where we feel like we're reaching the right crowds and those sort of things. So.
Right. So unfortunately, unless you live in Arizona, we can't ship this out of.
I can't, not yet. We're looking into what we can do to make that happen.
Right.
So
now I know that there are some retail outlets to carry the product in Flagstaff. Is there anybody who carries it in Phoenix as of yet?
Not yet. We're working on getting Costco's and the Bashes, the Safeways, those sort of big stores, and a few of the liquor stores down here. But we've only been on the market about a year and a half, so it's taken some time to get out there.
Gotcha.
But it's slowly working its way around.
But people, if you end up in Flagstaff, because there's a lot of people that are going to see this. Obviously, I'm going to, share this with my people that I know as well.
Absolutely.
If you're in Flagstaff and you want to buy some of the product, who's carrying it in Flagstaff right now?
Probably the best liquor store in town would be the Majestic Marketplace. They do a wonderful job. They pushing our stuff. a lot of the Chevrons, Mobiles.
Oh, no kidding.
Buy stuff there. All the liquor stores in Flagstaff, and there's 2 bashes up in Flagstaff where you can pick it up as well.
Gotcha.
So,
And I think you've got some. Are you getting some restaurants here in Phoenix that are going to be carrying it?
we have a couple so far. The Cobra Arcade downtown does a great job with our Sonoran Rose vodka. They have a the arcade theme. It's called the Princess Peach. It's an amazing martini with some stone fruit and our prickly pear vodka. And that one's really fun. We've been over there to taste that one, and you get to play some video games too.
That's cool.
So old school video games, so it's kind of fun. So, and then we're just looking forward to this whiskey hitting the market later in the year. The John Shaw and this Old Tom Gin, and really hoping to push our branding outside of the northern Arizona and down towards Phoenix and Tucson.
Yeah, well, I mean, the product is
so,
great, and so I think it's just a matter of time because it's great stuff.
With any new brand, it takes time.
Yeah.
So.
All right, before we wrap up here, you know what? It occurred to me, we talked earlier, you've won some awards with this stuff. I'm over here yapping about how good it is, like I'm some sort of whiskey expert, but you've actually won awards.
Yeah, the whiskey we just released, the Grand Canyon whiskey.
Yeah.
We released it in March, and we actually sent off the product to the San Francisco International Spirits Competition, which we consider to be the most prestigious. And within its first month release, it won a silver medal for American bourbon.
That's great.
So very happy with that. The Desert Rain Gin was also a silver medal winner as well. This is the second time it's been to that competition. So it's a very solid gin indeed. The other competition that we've been in the last year would be the New York Spirits Competition. We sent these 2 in, the Desert Rain and the Prickly Pear, and those both won silver medals as well. That particular competition named us the Arizona Vodka Distillery of the Year as well. So some fun, fun awards. We love the accolades, and we look forward to many more in the future as well.
And it's a great product, man. I mean, it really is.
Awesome. Thank you.
So if people wanted to kind of stay on top of what you guys are doing and follow you guys, I think you have a Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely. Facebook is our #1 social media site, and we have over 1,000 followers at this point, and still trying to grow. Hopefully get up to 5,000-10,000 by the end of the year. That would be amazing. So, Facebook, we're always posting our events. We're posting any new products we have going on, and any fun shenanigans that we're up to, because we're always having a good time with what we're doing. But that would be the best way to really follow our distillery, and lets people know when we're coming out with our new products later in the year too.
Right. Well, I'm done talking. I'd like to get to doing some drinking. I don't know about you, but
I'm ready. I'm ready for a gin and tonic. And hey, Richard, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.